Hi friends, we can go to next unit, unit 27, analysis of financial statement. This unit first tells about financial statement, then explains these statements and give analysis at the end. So concept building is very important to do balance sheet problems. So we can go through the unit. These are the objective. Here we discuss types of financial statement, fund flow or cash flow statement, importance and uses of financial statement in credit appraisal, projected financial statements, analysis of financial statement, relationship between items in balance sheet, and profit and loss account, trend analysis, ratio analysis, and net worth. Introduction. When a bank considers a loan proposal, apart from KYC aspects, it first checks the net worth of the applicant, that is, for an individual, excess of his asset or his liabilities is his net worth. For business entity, it is shown by his financial statements. And next, bank checks repayment capacity of the borrower, then viability, whether proposed bank loan result in increased operations, then availability of unencumbered security, that is assets that is free of credit claims or lines. Then next we can look into the financial statements. There are basically two financial statements here, balance sheet and profit and loss account, income and expenditure statement in case of non-profit organizations. Apart from these, the auditor's report, explanatory schedules and notes on accounts also provide useful information to bankers, and a funds flow statement also provide useful information. Next, there are other users apart from bankers for financial statements. They are creditors and lenders, investors, government agencies, rating agencies, customers, employees, general public, and analysts. Next, we can have a look of simple balance sheet. Balance sheet equation is assets equal to liabilities plus equity. Here, total assets is current assets and non-current assets. Total liabilities consist of current liability and non-current liability, and shareholders' equity is share capital. Next, legal position regarding financial statement. First is format. Companies Act tells about format of balance sheet and profit and loss account. So we can have a look of format of balance sheet. First is equity and liabilities. These equity and liability are again classified as shareholders fund, and shareholders fund consists of share capital, so reserves and surplus money received against share warrants, and the second one is share applicants money pending allotment. Third one is non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities are classified as long-term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities net, other long-term liabilities, long-term provisions, current liabilities. Fourth one, short-term, it's classified as short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities, and short-term provisions. This comes under current liabilities. Now, second part is of balance sheet is asset. Asset is classified first as non-current asset. Non-current is classified as fixed assets, non-current investment, deferred tax assets net, long-term loans and advance, and other current assets. And these fixed assets are again classified as tangible assets, intangible assets, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development. Next, second one of the asset is current asset. Current assets can be classified as current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advance, and other current assets. Next, can have a look at format of profit and loss account. Now we already done with format of balance sheet and now we can see what is P&L account consists of. Total revenue equal to revenue from operation plus other income. Total expense equal to cost of materials consumed plus purchase of stock in trade plus changes in inventories of finished goods plus work in progress plus stock in trade plus employee benefit expense plus depreciation and amortization cost and other expense. Amortization means that is written write-off of an intangible asset which reflects in the conception of asset. Next, profit before exceptional extraordinary items and tax equal to total revenue minus expense is equation 1. PBT, profit before tax, is equation 1 minus exceptional items minus extraordinary items. So tax expense is current tax plus deferred tax. Next accounting period, it's from April to 31st March of every financial year. For incomplete projects or no activity, the company has to prepare financial statements even if there is no activity during the accounting period or the project not completed. Next is consolidated financial statements. Companies Act 2013 mandates that a financial statement for all consolidated financial statements for all companies having a subsidiary or an associate or a JV joint venture to prepare and present consolidated financial statement in addition to standalone financial statement. So the companies having this type of subsidiary or JV, they have to submit consolidated financial statement in addition to balance sheet and profit and loss accounts. Next, we can go through what is balance sheet in detail. So, balance sheet is a statement of assets, that is, what is owned, and liabilities, what is owed to others of an entity at a particular point of time or moment. It is like a snapshot of asset and liability. Normally, the balance sheet is prepared at the end of the accounting period for which the profit and loss account is prepared. General instructions for preparation of balance sheet is as given below as per Companies Act. First is current asset. Current asset is expected to be realized in or is intended for sale or consumption in the company's normal operating cycle. It is held primarily for the purpose of being traded. It is expected to be realized within 12 months after the reporting date. It is cash or cash equivalent unless it is restricted from being exchanged or used to settle liability for at least 12 months after the reporting date. All other assets shall be classified as non-current. Current liability. It is expected to be settled in company's normal operating cycle. It is held primarily for the purpose of being traded. It is due to be settled within 12 months from the reporting date. The company does not have an unconditional right to defer settlement of the liability for at least 12 months. So, company cannot defer the liability at least 12 months from the reporting date or after the reporting date. All other liabilities are considered as non-current. A receivable shall be classified as trade receivable if it is in respect of the amount due on account of goods sold or service rendered in normal course of business. Next is trade payable. If it is in respect of amount due on account of goods purchased or service received in normal course of business. Disclosures in notes to accounts. Next one is disclosures. The company has to disclose about share capital, reserve and surplus, long-term borrowings. The considered borrowings shall be classified as secured and unsecured. Other long-term liabilities like trade payables, long-term provisions like provisions for employee benefits, short-term borrowings like loans repayable on demand, loans and advance from related parties like friends and relatives, deposits and other loans and advance. Borrowings shall be further subclassified as secured and unsecured. Other current liabilities, current maturities of long-term debt, current maturities of finance lease obligations, interest accrued but not due on borrowings, income received in advance, unpaid dividends, application money received for allotment of securities and due for refund, unpaid matured deposits and interest accrued thereon, unpaid matured debentures and interest accrued thereon. Other payables comes under other current liabilities. Next is short-term provisions. Provision for employee benefits comes under short-term provision. Next is tangible assets. Tangible assets that we can touch them. Plant and equipment, furniture, land, building, vehicle, office equipment, etc. comes under tangible assets. Next is intangible assets. Trademark, computer software, goodwill, brand, mining rights, copyrights, intellectual property rights, etc. comes under intangible asset. And non-current investment concept, trade investment and other investment. Next is long-term loans and advance, capital advance, deposit, loans and advance to related parties or friends, others, etc. comes in long-term loans and advance also. And the above shall also be classified as secured, considered good, unsecured, considered good, and doubtful. So, allowance for bad and doubtful loans and advances shall be disclosed under the relevant heads separately. Next is other non-current assets. It considers long-term trade receivables, and it is again subclassified as secured, considered good, unsecured, considered good, and doubtful. Next is current investment. Next one is inventories. Inventories consider raw materials, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, etc. Next is trade receivables. Aggregate amount of trade receivables outstanding for a period exceeding 6 months from the date they are due for payment should be separately stated. Trade receivables shall be subclassified as secured considered good, unsecured considered good and doubtful. Elements for bad and doubtful debts shall be disclosed under revenue heads separately. Next is cash and cash equivalents. Balance with the bank's checks in hand, cash on hand, etc. comes in this. Also, bank deposit with more than 12 months maturity shall be disclosed separately. Short-term loans and advance, these all comes under note to account. Loans and advance to related parties or friends and subclassified as secured considered good, unsecured considered good, doubtful. Other current assets fit into any other assets. Contingent liabilities, claim against company not acknowledged as debt, guarantee, other money for which company is contingently liable comes under contingent liabilities. Next is profit and loss account. It's the statement of income and expenditure of an entity for the accounting period. General instruction for preparation of P and L accounts. As per Companies Act 2013, first revenue for a non-finance company, revenue from operations equal to revenue from sale of products plus revenue from sale of service plus other operating revenues minus excess duty. For a finance company, revenue from operations equal to revenue from interest plus revenue from other financial service. Next is finance cost. Finance cost can be classified as interest expense, other borrowing cost, applicant net gain or loss in foreign currency transaction translation. Other income is interest income, dividend income, net gain or loss on sale of investments and other non-operating income. Additional information, a company shall disclose by way of notes additional information regarding aggregate expenditure and income on various items. Next is fund flow and cash flow statement. Each item in balance sheet represents either source of funds or use of funds. All item in the liabilities that represents the funds provided to the enterprise, and all item on the asset side, that is except cash, represents use of these funds. So liability side funds is used in the asset side. Liabilities are converted into assets. If cash is also perceived as use of funds, then all the uses of funds are equal to all the sources of funds. Any increase in any item on the liability side means additional funds available, and if there is any decrease in the items on the asset side means additional funds available. Similarly, any increase in any item on the asset side or decrease in any item on the liability side means additional use of funds. A statement of this additional source of funds and use of funds is called funds flow statement for the intervening period. Normally, the intervening period is an accounting year. Next, projected financial statement. Actual financial statements are for the past period, and analysis of these gives very useful financial information to the banker. But for assessing the need for bank credit and to examine the viability of the activity, it is necessary to anticipate the financial position of the enterprise in future. For example, for assessing the working capital needs, the statement of assets and liabilities of last year will not be adequate. We will have to anticipate the level of operations during the current year and accordingly project the level of assets and liabilities to arrive at the need for bank's loan. So this is how projected finance statements do. Next is purpose of analysis of financial statements by bankers. The bankers focus normally on the following aspects. First is assessment of performance of financial position. First, financial statements reveal the trend of growth and profitability. The financial statements also reveal the composition of assets and liabilities of the enterprise. So, assessment of performance can be done using financial statements. Next, protection of future performance. Past performance is often a good indicator of the future performance. Next, detecting danger signals. The next, assessment of credit requirements. Outfinancing and underfinancing both are risky for borrowers as well as bankers. So, financial statement analysis is used by banks to assess the credit requirement more accurately. Towards the end, we can see how we assess the financial statements. Next is examine funds flow. This is to ascertain that bank's funds have been used for the intended purpose and there is no diversion. Cross-checking the stocks and book debts submitted by these borrowers to be cross-checked the figures in their balance sheet for calculation of drawing power in cash credit account of the borrowers. Next is rearranging of financial statement for analysis. Now we start analysis. For analysis, bankers usually rearrange the financial statements like balance sheet and P&L accounts. First is liabilities and second one is asset. On the liability side, tangible net worth, that is shareholders fund, long-term liability, current liability and provisions. On the asset side, fixed assets, current assets, non-current assets comes. And a P&L account is rearranged by banker as first gross sales, next cost of sales. Cost of sales comes the cost of raw materials, power and fuel, direct labor, other manufacturing expense, depreciation, then subtotal of all of these, then add opening stocks and less closing stocks and total cost of sales. Then selling general administrative expense, then operating profit, interest, operating profit after interest, add non-operating income, then minus non-operating expenditure, then profit before tax PBT, then tax is added, then we get profit after tax. Next, techniques used in analysis of financial statements. Bankers mostly use three methods of analysis of financial statements: funds flow analysis, trend analysis, and ratio analysis. Funds flow analysis, the total source of funds are categorized as long term and short term. The total uses are also categorized as long term and short term. If the short term sources are more than short term uses, it indicates diversion of working capital. Funds are need to be provided further. So bankers can know whether working capital loan given by banks are used for another purpose. Next is trend analysis, allows to check an increase or decrease of various items in balance sheet and profit and loss account from previous year. Next is ratio analysis. This is the most favorite method of bankers for analysis of financial statements. Both the figures used in calculation of a ratio can be from either profit and loss account or balance sheet, or one can be from P&L account and the other from balance sheet. Ratios help in comparison of financial performance and financial position of an entity with other entities. Ratios which interest a banker most are the following. First is profitability ratio, operating profit margin OPM equal to EBIT by net sales, where EBIT is the earnings before interest and tax. Net profit margin NPM equal to net profit by net sales. OPM is an indicator of the operating efficiency of the enterprise, while NPM is an indicator of ability to withstand the adverse business conditions. Next is the liquidity ratio. Current ratio CR equal to total current assets by total current liabilities. Asset test ratio or quick ratio equal to current assets minus inventory by total current liabilities. These ratios indicate the capacity of an enterprise to meet these short-term obligations. Capital structure ratios, debt equity ratio DER equal to total outside long-term liability by net worth. Bankers are averse to high debt equity DER ratio, as it not only represents high borrowings in relation to owned funds but also affects the viability of the operation of the enterprise, as higher borrowings mean higher cost and lower operating margins. Bankers also use TOL by TNW ratio, where TOL is total outside liability by tangible net worth. Ratios indicating ability to service interest and installments is ICR, interest coverage ratio, that's equal to EBIT by total interest on long-term borrowings. Next is debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, equal to total cash flow before interest by total repayment obligation. DACR equal to net profit plus depreciation plus interest on long-term borrowings by installment plus interest on long-term borrowings. Turnover ratios. The first one is inventory turnover ratio, that is cost of goods sold by average inventory. This is an indicator of movement of inventory. Higher ratio indicates faster movement of inventory. This is also used for calculating average inventory holding period. Debtors turnover ratio will be credit sales by average debtors. Higher ratio indicates faster collection of debts. This is also used for calculating average collection period. In India, the difference between gross sales and net sales is mainly due to excise duty or sales tax. So that's all, friends. I think you have now a knowledge about balance sheet and profit and loss account and what are the ratio, important ratio used by bankers or ratio analysis. If you find this video useful, kindly subscribe and also share with your friends. Thank you.